Hello and welcome to our next episode, HSV International. I'm Lennart and with me, as usual, Philipp. Hi, Philipp.
Hi, Lennart. Looking forward to the episode.
Me too, Philipp. How are you?
I'm feeling good. The weekend was a bit more relaxing than the other ones in the past because we played on Friday, which allowed me a bit more time to calm down a bit on the other days. How about you?
Yeah, for me as well. I wasn't in Mainz, so more calming for me probably than for you. But it was a nice weekend, fun result, and then we could watch the other games a little bit calmer than with a possible loss. So I guess it was fun weekend so far. So before we start, we have small announcements to make. From now on, we have a question of the week, which will be provided from our listeners, maybe from one of you in the future. But for today, we have received a voice message with a question we don't know so far. We don't know the question, and we will try to answer it in this episode. And we will hope to get other messages like that as well in the future to make this a core part of our podcast. Right, Philip?
Yes, and I would look forward to it because it would mean a bit more interactive part with our listeners and audience. And it is all based on the question you asked me in our first episode, Lennart. This was a lot of fun for me to respond to. And let's have a look what questions our listeners come up with.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward, and I'm kind of afraid that we have to embarrass us when we don't are able to answer the question. But let's see about that.
I'm pretty sure we are able to.
Let's see. But also another thing I would like to mention is big thank you again for Kati for appearing in our last episode, attending it, and I hope you will come again.
Yes, also from my side, thank you, Kati. And maybe I owe a small explanation because some of our listeners asked why I introduced you, Kati, as Germany's fastest car driver. And there is a simple reason for that. And I think it was after a match in 2024. I think it was a game against Magdeburg. And Kati made it from Hamburg to our area here in the western part of Germany in breathtaking 3 hours, where you usually need a bit more than 4 hours, especially if you need to pass the Elbtunnel, the tunnel going below the river Elbe. And she was driving at speeds I didn't know they were possible. And yeah, so it's why I know her as Germany's fastest car driver.
Yeah, but let's come to our first part, the Mainz game. Like I said, I wasn't at the stadium, but you were, Philip. So maybe before we head into the game, you can tell us a little bit about the atmosphere in Mainz. How was it for you?
It was amazing, but I would first start with the traveling information to the stadium. As the game was quite late in the evening, we started at noon. I think it was 3 p.m. when we started to head toward Mainz. As there was a lot of traffic on the highways, we needed quite a bit to Mainz, and we're heading to the visitor parking lot for away fans. And this was pretty far away from the city center, or at least pretty far away from the stadium. So we needed to drive to the stadium by bus. The buses were provided as shuttle buses as usual here in Germany. And this took a bit of time. And apparently the HSV players and the staff also took a lot of time in their bus coming to the stadium, while the kickoff was delayed for 10 minutes. So all of us were a bit late in the stadium, but nevertheless we made it in time. Then back to the atmosphere. The guest sector was full, like always, and also the surrounding sectors were packed with HSV fans. And that's always impressive when you are in another stadium, but there are so many visiting fans supporting our squad. So this made up a very fantastic atmosphere. The game started with 10 minutes delay, but then we can maybe discuss all this in more detail now. You saw the match in front of television, right?
Yeah, right. I saw it from the very beginning to the end at television at home, and had some interesting and important replays when many discussable decisions were made. I'm not sure how did they were. Well, I would say seen in the stands. Did you already knew how controversial I would say these decisions were, or were you surprised when you read it at the end?
Yes and no. On Friday, it was the fouls from Core and Silas. I mean, we saw them, but when you see a replay in television, it's always clearer and you see it in more detail. But we just saw how painful the fouls were. The fouls were quite hard. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think two of the players, the Core and Silas, they really deserved the red card. Or what do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can argue about that. That both of these players deserved the second yellow card and should have been sent off. Yeah, but maybe let's start with the beginning of the match. I would say
Yeah.
before we just head to directly into these decisions. Well, I think we got very good into the game. We played a very good first half. An hour, I would say. We had pretty nice chances, especially the one from Glatzel, I believe, where we played him free on the left side. I think Otela played the last pass to Glatzel, and quite a shame that he wasn't able to really put the ball into the corner, and he just shot right directly at the goalkeeper. Therefore, it was
Mm.
well, probably a very easy save, but it was still a very good chance. Maybe also mentionable the shot from Omari, but well, like I said, a very good first half an hour. Or what do you believe, Philip?
No, I agree. What do you think about Omari's performance?
I think the first half was probably the worst 45 minutes I saw him playing for us. A lot of very easy mistakes, bad passes, lost of the ball in quite dangerous situations. But after that, he got the ball back as well. So it wasn't a completely disaster. But well, like I said, I wasn't satisfied with his performance in the first half. In the second half, it was much better. Therefore, it wasn't a bad game. But like I said, the first half, I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, me neither. And I think even in the second half, he was misjudging a long ball from the goalkeeper, and just running below the ball. And then the Mainz striker had basically free way toward the goalkeeper. And I think Torunarigha was the one securing us in that situation. So he seemed a bit unsecure. I don't know. I perceived him differently the other games. He was such a strong defender, and I'm pretty sure he still is. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
totally.
this game was not his best one so far, I would say.
Yeah, but you have to acknowledge that every player can have a bad game. This was one for
Yes,
him. Like I said, until now, I believe he was a very good and solid player for us. And well, like I said, Friday wasn't a good game from him, but I'm still very happy that we have him.
yes, me too. Think about Torunariga. Was games he had in the beginning, and how good he was on Friday in Mainz. He was replacing Luka Vuskovic, who was suspended due to his fifth yellow card, and he made a brilliant game. Or what do you think?
Absolutely. And maybe to take it away now already, for me, Torunariga, man of the match.
Yeah, for
No,
me too.
we talk about it after after we conclude the games. But well, right now when we talk about him already, I believe I can say it already as well. Torunariga for me is the best player on the pitch on Friday.
Yeah, he made a great performance. So what happened else in the first half? We conceded the first goal.
Yeah, well, maybe shortly before we conceded the first goal was one of the probably send-offs. We already talked about it. Silas should have seen his second yellow card, I believe, 2 minutes before we conceded the goal. And after that, he initiated the play for the 1-0, but as well, you have to acknowledge the class of Amiri in that situation because
Yes.
his finish was excellent. It was a good cross, and how he puts the ball with a volley like that perfectly into the corner. A great finish. A very nice goal, you must say, even if it was against us, and it was a good cross by Da Costa and a very clean finish from Miri. And yeah, it was a 1-0 half-time lead for Mainz. It's this time I believe. Very surprising and not deserved, but still 1-0 Mainz, yeah.
It was their, I think, first shot on target, and this one was so hard to defend. Even though you're right mentioning that Silas should have been already sent off. Nevertheless, I think we should stick with Merlin Polsin, who meanwhile always says, "Don't complain about the ref. We just care about what we can influence, and we cannot influence ref decisions. So let's also concentrate on that." And I think we could not really influence this goal because this was just very, very well played. And that needs to be acknowledged. First half done. Second half. How was the second half, Lennart? What was happening in the beginning?
I completely agree with you, Philip, that we shouldn't complain about the referee too much, but on Friday it's very difficult, especially
Yeah, right.
if you see how the game was going. And just saying this, the referee got the worst possible rating on Kicker, the probably most famous German football magazine. I think this is a sign as well that it's not our based
Own
opinion
perception.
on his performance. It was acknowledged, like I said, by the probably most famous football magazine here in Germany. Just to say that at this moment, because at the beginning of the second half, there was a second scene where a Mainz player should have been sent off, this time Koa, after 5 minutes. He didn't saw the second yellow as well. Shortly after that, like Silas, the Mainz coach put him out of the game, which is also a clear sign. Also something which was mentioned by Merlin Polsin as well, the substitution behavior from the Mainz coach while putting them both out shortly after they should have seen the second yellow cards is a clear sign that he saw it as well, that they were in danger of being sent off. And let's not stick to it. He didn't saw the second yellow card. We had shortly after that a good shot by Capaldo, around 80 meters, I believe. He took the shot. It was a very good one, but you have to acknowledge that the second half wasn't as good as our first half. Mainz got better into the game, I believe.
I think so too.
Still, we got the 1-1 after a free kick, and this time we had a lot of luck with the referee.
There are actually two things why we were lucky in this situation. One might be questionable, but the other one is absolutely undoubtful. Vieira kicked the free kick and he scored, but it was not due to a perfect shot. It was due to a deflection by the defender. Actually, the free kick wasn't really good. It was kicked directly into the defender's wall, but then, as I said, got deflected and was somehow rolling into the net, which made us very, very happy in the guest sector. And we really did not realize that maybe one of our players was standing very close to the defender's wall, because it is not allowed for an attacking player to stand too close to the defender's wall. Did you think he was too close? Or the other thing, did he got pushed into the defender's wall? What do you think?
First of all, no one during the live broadcast saw this. There was no reporter who really talked about it when it happened, just after the game. Maybe this for the start. But Rembeck got a little push, but I believe he was already too close at the wall. So to be honest, this goal shouldn't have been allowed. I've heard afterwards that this is not a decision for the VAR and that the referee has to see this on his own, which kind of confused me. And I'm not sure if this is really true, but it was said so. Maybe if it's true, then we don't have to complain at the VAR for this one. But I believe it was a clear referee mistake and that this goal should not have standard. Yeah, we were very lucky in this situation, I believe.
But then I think Vieira was directly running toward the ball and back towards heading to the kickoff because he wanted to really score another goal. He was not satisfied with only an equalizer or only a draw in Mainz, which shows his and our team's ambitions. What do you think about this? We are not happy with 1 point in Mainz. I mean, in the end, I'm pretty sure most of us were quite happy with it. But there are players, and Vieira is one of them, who really want to win every game.
Yeah, I believe it's first of all, it's a very good sign. I mean, there was still half an hour to play. Um, we were the better team in the first half, and the second half was kind of playing eye to eye, I would say, during that time. And why not go for the second goal? So I was quite happy about this sign as well when I saw it in the television. But afterwards, I believe Mainz was a better team. Um, in the last minutes, I had the feeling that if someone scores, it would have been Mainz. Um, and in the last 10 minutes, substitution behavior of our coach, of Merlin, showed his preference to save the point and don't go into any risk for a win, which I believe was the right decision. He bought El Fadli for Renzi, and this is a clear sign that we have to defend. So
Yes, and I think so too. I'm happy that he made these substitutions to save the point there. And I think in the end, it was well deserved because of
yeah,
both halves. And for us, the result is much better than for Mainz. In the end, when the squad of Mainz went to their fans, to their standing supporters, for us, it seemed that they were relegated. They were really hoping for a better result, for sure. But I mean, they won so many games before and now drawed against Hamburg. I don't know, for them, it felt like a loss. And also, Amiri mentioned that. He said a game against Hamburg is a mandatory win for them. And I was feeling a bit assaulted because we now did not lose for 6 consecutive games. And then there is a player who just says we have to win against Hamburg and every other thing is just not good.
yeah. Well, I think I can understand what Amiri means for at least a little bit. I mean, they play in Europe right now. We're new into the league after 7 years, playing in the second division. But I also think it's kind of disrespectfully to say it like that as well, because they won 3 out of their last 4 games, yes, but some of them also very lucky. We didn't lose 5 games before the Mainz game. Now, as you mentioned, 6 games. And well, and like we said, it was a very good game from both sides, as I believe. And it wasn't like Mainz played us like they wanted and should have deserved a win. So yeah, I believe 1-1 is the right result after this game.
I think so too. And in the end, this result, by the way, led to the fact that neither one of us received points in our prediction game because you were predicting a 1-0 win and I was predicting a 2-1 win. Yeah, we drawed. So no one receives a point for that.
Yeah, but maybe to mention something regarding your honor of this tip, you just had to need a goal from Taylor, and then you would have the perfect tip, all 3 goal scorers and the right result. But yeah, sadly,
So close.
but yeah.
Let's head over to our news of the week. And I would start with something with which we concluded the last episode, our special jersey. The day after recording our last episode with Kati, the special jersey went on sale. And I think within a couple of minutes, the whole shop went down for the entire day. But nevertheless, on this day, all of the, I think, 20,000 jerseys were
Yeah,
sold.
20,000 is a day, yeah.
I think it was pretty surprising. The club said that the traffic on their website was even larger than during the first hour after being promoted to the first division in summer.
Mhm.
So this shows how many people really wanted to buy this special jersey. And HSV was concluding that it might be a good idea to offer more of the jerseys. And then they offered the possibility to pre-order it, and they will just be sent out in July, so there will be a little delay. But nevertheless, they offered the possibility for every supporter who wants a jersey to get a jersey. And then I ordered one with Luka Vuskovic on it, and I also ordered the shorts. Did you order a jersey too?
Yes, but also sadly just a pre-order. So I get my jersey in June or July as well. But I ordered this, and today I read we already sold 70,000 jerseys. So 50,000 again, which is already a new club record. This is the most sold jersey in the club's history, and that's after just 1 week.
Pretty nice within just a couple of days.
Absolutely, and it shows again the amazing support for our club.
And meaning additional revenue and profit for the club too, just within 1 week. Imagine, I mean, the margin on those jerseys is insane.
100 euro per jersey.
Yeah, and what does it cost in production? Let's estimate 30, 40 euros. And that means a pretty good million amount of profit in the end, which our club can now use for several purposes, such as maybe also to buy Fabio Vieira.
Yeah, maybe. Or the first 3 million for Luka Vuskovic. Now we need only 60 or 70 million
Yeah.
in addition.
But maybe, and I would not suggest to do so, but there might be a new vehicle to get more money toward the club. That leads us to another point in our News of the Week agenda. On Wednesday happened our annual members general meeting at HSV Center close to the stadium. It's a new venue for and by the club. And maybe just to explain what happened there, this is an annual meeting for all members from Hamburger Sportverein, from the core club. And on this day, many members are there and also many representatives from the club who hold speeches, explain what happened during the year, publish reports financially and other reports. And it's the body of the club to execute voting rights and to really participate and design what happens in our club. It's a huge thing. This right of the members is something which we have pretty exclusive in Germany. And this is something we can really be proud of. And this is why it's pretty sad that, Lennart, both of us weren't there. And there were, I think, only 300 or 400 members out of how many are we currently? 140,000?
Yeah, more than that already, which was
It's
announced on Wednesday as well, I believe. 148,000 members right now.
That's an insane number and makes it even worse that I think just 300 or 400 members were really there on Wednesday. The past years, we always participated, but the past years, it always took place on a Saturday or a Sunday. I think it usually was Saturday.
Yeah, but at least it was on the weekend. That's the important thing.
It was on a weekend, exactly, and this time it was on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. And I think I speak for both of us, Lennart. We worked at 6 p.m. in Ruhr area or Münster, which is several hundreds kilometers away from Hamburg, which simply made it impossible for us to attend. I'm really sad that we did not attend. I always enjoyed these meetings, and I think it's somehow an obligation for us as members to show up and to execute our voting rights and to make use of this privilege. Let's hope that it's on the weekend the next time. Nevertheless, what happened there, Lennart? Let's maybe summarize the most important things.
Well, you already said that we got the opportunity to get a new revenue. So we have the supporters trust, which will be installed, which means that we, as HSV supporters, will get the opportunity in the future to buy shares of our club.
Exactly.
Maybe you want to add something to that, Philipp? Or
That's maybe, I would say, the most simple explanation for that. Like you said it might not be 100% correct, but nevertheless, we are able to invest in our club and to gain, let's say, kind of a stock. I think it's just the most simple and best way to explain it. We as members, it's first of all restricted to members, at least at the beginning. And it's a possibility for members to participate in the club and to bring more money to the club. It comes along with several other privileges. Lennart, maybe just a question. Would you buy a share? I think the cheapest one is 887 euros.
Yeah, I believe I've read this as well, 887 euros. I am still arguing about that, to be honest, not because I don't want it, but it's a huge amount of money. I'm still debating with myself about it. What about you?
I understand, also still debating because I'm also saving money for other purposes at the moment. Nevertheless, I would like to. Let's see how it will turn out in the summer when it's published, and
Yeah,
we will keep
definitely.
you up to date. I think maybe just one more thing. This money and also other revenues, for example, special jersey, could be used to expand our stadium from 57,000 seats to 60,000.
Yeah, it was mentioned on Wednesday as well. Let's hope that it will be enhanced up to 60,000 because it's already quite difficult for some people to get tickets for the games in Hamburg. I mean, we have our season tickets, so this is a problem we don't have. But I know a lot of people who have problems to get tickets. So 3,000 people more in the stadium would definitely benefit our club, not just financially, but probably as well from the atmosphere as well.
I think so too. Even though we have plans to get a new stadium, if Hamburg, or even if Hamburg would not organize and host the next, or I think in the 2030s Olympic Games, there will be a new Olympic stadium built in Hamburg, and there are plans for us, for our club, to move there. But that's another topic. First of all, we want to expand our current stadium, our Volksparkstadion, up to 60,000 seats. Let's conclude the general meeting of our members. Did you see the press conference before the match against Mainz?
Yeah, I saw the press conference, and this time it was not just about the Mainz game. It was also about the game of our women's team against Werder Bremen. So it was a very huge press conference, I would say, very long one, but also
Yeah,
a very, very interesting one as well. Not that the other press conferences are not interesting, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of special this time. Would you agree, Philip?
I do definitely agree. And I remember one quote from Erik Hoover, one of our executives, and he was bringing up the point that there is always a debate about equal pay between women and men in football. And he said that at HSV, it's not necessarily equal pay, but above all, equal play. And that our club wants to offer the best conditions possible to both men and women, meaning training grounds, health, nutrition, all of that. And I really liked this approach and this way of treating the teams somehow the same. Of course, our men earn more money. This is the team that really generates the revenue in the end. But nevertheless, the women's team is also HSV and is representing our club at the highest possible league in this sports in Germany. So I really like the approach of equal play.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. I think this is a perfect and the probably only right approach on this topic to provide both teams with the best possible conditions we can offer as a club. The women should not be treated any less than the men's team. They should have the best possible training grounds we can provide, the best possible coaching staff, and the best possible atmosphere in the stadium. So, yeah, I think what Erik Hoover said during the press conference and what you already mentioned right now is the only right approach for our club. And on the weekend, they made probably every HSV fan happy with a
Yes.
great, great game in the Nord Derby against Werder, 1-1, a very important point in the fight against being relegated. So let's hope that they can provide us with these results as well. And after last weekend, this weekend as well, a very good result. I believe they're on a good way. And let's hope they can take confidence out of the last two games and get some good results during the next weeks. I mean, the next game will be against Bayern, as I believe, in the
Hmm.
DFB Pokal. And after that, we have a very, very important game on the league against Jena.
Yes.
Let's hope for a unforgettable evening in the cup, and then for a very, very huge game in the league. Probably one game which could decide whether we stay in the league or not.
Yes, and why could it decide? Because Jena is the lowest team in the table. They are placed 14th with 9 points, and we are 12th with 14 points, meaning that if we win against Jena, we really extend this gap, and other way around if we lose. So let's hope for the best. And I like that we also discuss women here in the podcast, Lennart. Let's always keep a track on how they do in their league too. Coming back to the men, we were discussing the table in the Frauen-Bundesliga, the women's first division. Let's have a quick look at the men's table. We currently have 6 points in advance in front of St. Pauli. They are now new 16s and on the relegation place because they won against Bremen on Sunday. Did you see the match?
No, I didn't saw the game. I just saw the highlights a few hours after it. Where probably you have to show a little bit sympathy for the Werder keeper. A horrible mistake which led to the St. Pauli lead. But from what I saw, apart from that mistake, it was a pretty equal game, I would say. St. Pauli then with the lucky end with the 3 points, and yeah, for them a very huge win, right? Now, so now they are on 16, Bremen 17, St. Pauli with the same amount of points as Wolfsburg, just 2 goals behind them. Very close, very, very close. You mentioned already we are on 11, 2 points behind the 9th place, Union Berlin, 6 points before St. Pauli, 7 before Werder.
And 1 game in behind.
And 1 game in behind, yeah.
Yeah, St. Pauli is back in the race, and I think meanwhile you can really say that the change of the coach in Bremen did not really work out how they wanted it to. We were discussing it, I think, in our first episode, and now you see Daniel Thune is there for 3 weeks now, and he lost all 3 games. You also feel a bit of sympathy and compassion with Daniel Thune too. As we said, he's a very great person. We will see. Nevertheless, I would not really mind if they relegate down to second league.
No, and you have to acknowledge that Werder plays against Heidenheim next weekend. So on Saturday, this will be a very, very huge game. And if they don't win this game, then you really have to say this will become very, very difficult. If you don't win your home game against Heidenheim, which in the, let's say, public eye is already being relegated, which is kind of wrong because if St. Pauli loses next weekend and Heidenheim would win in Bremen, it's only 3 points again for Heidenheim. So the complete public, which already says Heidenheim is already relegated. It's not that easy, but yeah, for Heidenheim, I believe it's the last chance to get back into the race next weekend. It will be a do or die game for Bremen and especially for Daniel Thune as well. If you don't win this, then it will become very, very difficult. Not because of the points, but because of how you perform and how your last results are.
I think so too, but I think I speak for both of us when we say we don't mind if those 3 clubs agree among themselves who will be relegated. If we are on top of that and we don't fall below the line, we don't care about who will be relegated.
Yeah, I believe we can agree on that, and we all could live if this would be the end standings. If this was now season end, 11th place would be a great result for us.
Absolutely, would be amazing. Lennart, let's now transition to our new agenda point, question of the day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what will be our first question here.
Okay, so I would now open the first voice memo in our podcast, Lennart.
Hello, my name is Marcus. I come from Germany, but moved to England because of my girlfriend, Lena. I've been a full-time student at Milton Keynes Open University for 12 years. I live in Newport Pagnell, about 8 kilometers north of Milton Keynes. I love football and think your podcast is great. On Saturday, I had 2 options for how to spend the evening: to study for my exams or to have a beer with my friends at my favorite pub, the coachmaker's arms. As befits a student, I went to the pub. Anyway, there I watched the Hamburger SV versus Werder Bremen game in the Women's Bundesliga. I'm a big Lea Williamson fan, so I always watch the skipper. At HSV, that's someone named Martens. On her Instagram profile, I saw her first name, Pauli. Here's my question. How can it be that the HSV skipper is called Pauli? That would be like Arsenal skipper being called Hotspur Lea. Greetings from Newport Pagnell and only HSV.
Yeah, Marcus, thank you so much for your message. Really enjoyed it to receive a message from Great Britain. You're from Milton Keynes. That's interesting. And it's even more interesting, in my opinion, that the Coachmaker's Arms in Milton Keynes shows our women's Nord Derby. Is this usual and common in Great Britain to show women's football in German First Division?
Yeah, I believe it's not really common to show the German First Division. I believe you can watch the British League there, of course, because I think it's the most famous women's league and the best one in the world so far. But I didn't know that you could watch the German league there as well. But maybe it was on his own device, maybe at the pub. I'm not sure. I would be very interested to hear from other people as well if they can watch the German Women's League in their countries, which would be great. I'm very happy to hear about that, yeah. But I didn't knew it.
Me
no.
too. And as it befits a student, Marcus chose to watch football and to drink beer instead of learning for his exams. But he left us with the question, Lennart, how can it be that our skipper, Pauline Martens, that's her full name, is named after our local rival? What do you think? It's like the skipper of Arsenal is named after Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, probably a curse of her first name, right? If you called Paulina, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think she was born in Hamburg, so maybe when she got her nickname, there wasn't the HSV connection at that point, and people never thought about she would have to play for the rival team, and now she has to stick with it. I'm not sure. But yeah, probably not the greatest, not the greatest nickname so far for her. But I believe she can live with it, and maybe it hotspurs some laughter into the team as again, or so far. And yeah, what do you believe, Philip?
I think so too. I think she's also our captain, right, in the women's team?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it shows that there is no negative downside on having this nickname. I think I speak for all of us to say that we are happy to have her despite of her nickname. And Marcus, thank you so much for your message. We really appreciate it. And nice to hear that we have a listener in Milton Keynes who also is HSV fan. Great, and hope to receive a next message soon. Also in the future, of course, from other listeners, feel always free to send us your questions. We are happy and curious about your stories from the places where you live.
And hopefully we hear from a lot of you in the next few weeks, months, and seasons to continue with this core part of our podcast. But nevertheless, let's come to our last topic for today, the upcoming game on Sunday against Leipzig. First of all, Philip, we are there.
Yes, this time both of us will be there. We will go by car on Sunday and go back on train. Let's maybe have a look if we make an episode out of the train on Sunday.
Yeah, we have to see what the conditions in the train are and if it's silent enough in the background to make a podcast episode from there. If not, we will do it like always on Monday, like today. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about our opponent on Sunday, RB Leipzig. They drawed against Dortmund this weekend. Last minute, they conceded the equalizer. And what happened before?
Yeah, I believe Leipzig had a few, for them, disappointing results the weeks before. They drawed against Wolfsburg, lost against Bayern, which is, I believe, in Munich very normal, but still, you probably think maybe we can get something out of this game if you are a supporter of Leipzig. They've won against Köln, but lost against Mainz and drawn against St. Pauli. So for a team like Leipzig, I believe they aren't satisfied with that. Right now, they're on 5th place, 2 points behind Stuttgart on 4th, which is probably their season goal to get in the top 4. So, they will be definitely motivated to do better.
Yes, I think so too. So we need to be prepared. And luckily, Luka Vuskovic will be back after being suspended last game against Mainz. Who do you think will go out of the starting 11 for him? Because I think we both agree that Vuskovic will instantly return.
Yeah, absolutely. Vuskovic will definitely start again, and I believe in the center of the defense of the back three. Well, I believe the right part of the back three will be played then by Capaldo, and the left part by Torunarigha, which would mean that Omari will probably be sorted out from the starting 11 on Sunday.
I think especially after the, let's say, weak performance in Mainz, where Omari was not able to, let's say, advertise himself for further tasks and duties in the upcoming games, I think it's the logical choice to now substitute Omari out for Vuskovic. I think regarding the other players, they can remain in place, right? There are no further suspensions.
No, as far as I know, there are no suspensions. And so far, I didn't hear anything about another injury, which hopefully doesn't come. But as I said, we have this episode here recorded on Monday, so it can be happen, of course, in the next days that we have to adjust regarding possible injuries. But as far as I know, today there aren't any injuries adding up to the ones we already know about so far before the Mainz game. So I think Vuskovic will be added to the starting 11, and then there we have probably the same player starting as against Mainz. Or do you believe there will be any change?
Maybe Damian Downs for Robert Glatzer, because I think that was already the plan against Union Berlin. But then Damian Downs was feeling sick, I think. So Robert Glatzer got the place in the starting 11. Now he secured it also in Mainz, but as I said also for Omari, I think he did not really advertise for himself. So that might be an option for the return of Damian Downs. I think despite of that, there are not too many things to discuss. In preview of the game, we will play at home very late on Sunday at 7:30 p.m., which means that we will be back home quite late. An awful kickoff time, but we discussed it several episodes ago. Therefore, Lennart, I would say let's directly jump into the prediction.
Maybe just a small thing which is kind of special, I would say. I am not sure if you already thought about it, but we have the last game on this weekend, which means because we already have one game in hand, when the game starts on Sunday, we have 2 games less than every other team in the bottom half. We can really see where are we and what do we need from these 2 games to secure a very, very important and good position, maybe. Maybe something I just thought about today, and a pretty interesting situation.
I agree. Did not think about it before, but you're absolutely right. And imagine that we still remain 11th after all the matches until our kickoff time. Then we have 2 more games than all the other clubs in our league, especially at the bottom half, like you mentioned before. And that's amazing. As I said last week, we could make huge steps towards saving our place in the league for next season. Let's see. Let's now dive into the prediction. What do you think? What will be the final result and who will score the goals?
I believe we will win 2-1. Our goals will be scored by Ranzi and Vuskovic, and the Leipzig goal will be provided by Diomande, I say.
I think so too. I also think we will win 2-1, but then I would go with different goal scorers. The first one, I go with Otele. A second goal will be scored by Fabio Vieira. And I think Leipzig's goal scorer will be David Raum.
Then I believe this concludes our 4th episode. so far. And thanks again for being here with me, Philipp. And thanks for our listeners. Hopefully, we will hear each other maybe on Sunday, maybe on Monday, but definitely you will hear from us again. So until next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.